Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today we have a spicy, interesting video, something that I've seen a lot of people looking into and a lot of people asking questions about. It's something that I actually had a ton of questions about until I actually tried it. So I'm going to get into everything solar related. Is it worth it? How much money do you make? What's your schedule like? What is it actually like being a door-to-door salesman? I'm going to get into all those questions and let's get into it now. To start off, I am going to say that I am not going to name my company, obviously for privacy reasons. I don't want to get in trouble, but let's just get into the first topic of how much money do you make. I feel like this is what most people want to hear because they've heard you can make a ton of money on solar. You'll be a millionaire in 6 months. You'll be making over 100K your first month easily, right? We've all heard these kind of things before, and maybe that is true for some people. From my experience, that is not the case. I will say it has been around a month and I have made, get ready guys, this is such a large number here, $750. That is all, guys, in around 3.5 weeks of working here. Now, if this sounds like it's an exception to the rule, I do just want to mention that I have seen what many of my coworkers make, and yes, some people are making more than this, but I will say the average is definitely around $1,000 to $2,000 a month from what I have seen from regular employees. That's not to say there's not the rare person making $4,000, $6,000, but I will say the average person makes anywhere from $1,000 to $3,500 on the top end, and then the really good people make anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 a month. That is what I have seen personally from my experience, and I have talked to multiple people from different companies, and I do have some friends that are in the solar industry as well, and they say it is around the same at their company. The way you typically get paid at solar companies, and again, this is not specific to mine because I don't want to, say anything I'm not supposed to, but you get paid by commission only, so no base whatsoever. Of course, it is a sales position, and you typically get paid per kilowatt that you sell in solar. So if you sell a 10 kilowatt system, you might be getting X amount of dollars per kilowatt, so you want 10 instead of 5, if that makes sense. They also offer incentives and bonuses, which is a large majority of getting people interested in this solar sales position, is because they'll say you can probably make $5,000 a month, but then also if you make a certain amount of sales a month, you get double pay, or if you hit this number of sales, you get to go on this vacation or do this thing, or will 1.5x your amount of money. So it really just depends, but the point is they offer you commission and then incentives. From my experience, it is a lot harder than it looks. They might say if you make 4 sales a month, you'll be making $100,000 a year, but 4 sales, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, guys, but it is a lot in a place where you knock on door and door and door and door, and you'll knock on 100 doors and maybe talk to 20 people, and of those 20 people, 19 hate you automatically, and then you just find one person that wants to actually sit down for an appointment, and then that person doesn't actually end up buying it. So you've just knocked on 100 doors and only talked to one person, and maybe they want to sit down, maybe they don't. It's a lot harder than you might think if you're thinking it's just going to be an easy 100K. It is not at all. Just know that. Next category is work schedule. We'll kind of go over that. So it depends on the company again, but I will say most solar sales employees from my experience will work anywhere from 25 to 40 hours a week, depending on which company you work for. Personally, we choose our own schedules at the company that I work for, so you can work anywhere from 10 hours a week to 55 hours a week, basically whatever you want, but they do prefer the afternoons. That is when most people are home, of course. So schedule-wise, I think it is a great job if you have something you have to do in the mornings or on weekends and you can't work those days, because it is conducive to when you want to work, which I think is really good, and you don't get that in a lot of jobs. So that I do think is a really good part of this job. Now, what is it actually like to go door to door? If you've never been door to door like I was before I started this job, I thought, yeah, it sounds like it sucks kind of, but then, you make a lot of money, so it's a trade-off. But let me tell you, it is the most mentally draining job I have ever been a part of. I have ever even experienced by a long shot, and I did work in the medical field, and the medical field is known to be draining. But if this is how draining the medical field is from my experience as an MA, I know that's very different than working at a hospital or something like that, but this is how mentally draining that was. and here's solar. You can't even see my hand, and that's for a reason, because it is so mentally draining. Because one, in Florida, it's 100 degrees outside. You're out there completely by yourself, so there's no one to keep you motivated, to keep you going. It's all dependent on you. You're absolutely drenched in sweat. You're walking around 20,000 steps a day. At least that's what my app personally says that I'm walking. So miles and miles a day. And on top of that, like I said, you could knock on 150 houses a day and not get anything, and I mean zero. You could knock for 3 days in a row, 150 houses a day in peak hours with the sun, sweating, walking, driving to the place, wasting gas, and get $0. And by $0, I mean the potential for $0, because you won't even set an appointment or get someone to want to look at a contract or anything. So it is zero hope sometimes when you're out there spending hours and hours and hours and hours. On top of that, most people don't like it when you come to their door. You're the skeezy salesman. You're there to get them, you know? So they're not nice to you. I know many coworkers that have had the cops called on them, threatened to get arrested. I have had many people scream at me to get off their property, that I shouldn't be soliciting, curse me out, yell at me, call me names. I have heard it all, guys. So imagine 120 people yelling at you every single day for the potential to make money, which I will agree, I personally think is worth it if you're making money. But if you are one of those people that maybe isn't so good at it, or gets unlucky in your area, or you're working in an area where a lot of people have already been solar wise, it is going to be very difficult to find that one person that actually wants to listen, and you go through a lot mentally, physically. It is draining. So to break down how much I've made per hour, in case you're curious of that, like I said, I've made $750. Keep in mind that is pre-tax, and I've spent probably $200 in gas just in those weeks, probably more honestly, maybe $300 in gas in the past 3.5 weeks just to get to the job. So if you break that down, I'm making less than $10 an hour probably in the time where I leave my house to the time where I come back. Maybe $13 an hour if you don't count in the driving portion of the job. So I'm probably making $13 an hour, which is just, you know, so much money. Like, I am about to buy a mansion with that kind of money, you know? I'm just kidding. It's actually nothing. And you know, I was a medical assistant and I was making much more than this. And you know, it was much more stable and guaranteed. And this job, with anything commission, anything sales, it's pretty much perform or die, you know, sink or swim. And that's not for everyone. And I want to emphasize that solar is not what everyone portrays it out to be, where you do it and you're an instant $300,000 and more a year. You're an instant millionaire in 5 years. Do not believe that. That is not the truth. And just in the time that I have seen solar, I have seen people come and go, like drop like flies. It's absolutely insane. So to answer the overall arching question, is it worth it? My answer is, it is worth trying, yes. If you are one of those people that is just blowing it out of the water, you could be making easily $200,000 a year or more. That is how the incentive and pay structure will work. You could be making even more than that, $300,000. But I would say if you're really good, anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 a year. But I think the likelihood that you do that is probably an 8% chance. So if you took 100 people, I guarantee probably only 8 to 10 people are making that kind of money. The other 90 or 92 people are quitting, making less than that, struggling, hating their lives, very upset, making very little money. So that is my personal opinion. Again, I'm no expert in sales. I never had a sales position before this. Do I think I'm good at talking to people? Yes. Do I think that I know what I'm saying and I sound good when I'm saying it? Of course, yes, I really do actually believe so. And anyone that's heard me talk, whether it's managers or coworkers, always tells me that I'm pretty good at this and they don't know why I'm not making money. But that's the thing about this job. It's very volatile, and if you're not used to it or you've never been in sales before, maybe this job is not for you. So I would not personally say that it is worth it for me. I think it was worth trying. Let me emphasize that. Like, I wouldn't go back and take it away if I had to, because I think I've learned so much from this experience. But I did just want to clear up some of the questions that I've heard, because I've heard of this solar, like making millions of dollars, being whatever, and that is only the case for very few people that actually try this job. If you have any specific questions about my experience selling in solar, door-to-door sales, anything like that, just ask me a question down below, guys. I'm an open book about everything. I'll be completely honest about pay or time or emotional, mental state, anything like that that you guys are curious about. Leave a like on this video if you liked it, comment down below like I said, and subscribe to my channel if you guys want to help me out, and I'll see you guys on my next video.